Good afternoon, students. How has been your day? I hope you are finding things easier. May I assure you that the more you take time to study in this course, the more you become accustomed, you become used to our terms and terminologies, and you'll be able to acquire the necessary skills required in this course. I want to assure you also that peace studies and conflict resolution is not just an ordinary course that you come to the university to study for the purpose of having a certificate, but it is something that will help you to gain access into places in life. You become relevant, particularly in this contemporary world where we have conflicts everywhere. So your knowledge that you acquire here will be able to help you to deal with every day-to-day life issues. And that is why you must take this course very serious. I want to believe that in your first semester, you have gone through the PCR114, Introduction to Conflict Resolution Processes 1. And now I am taking the second part of it, which is Introduction to Conflict Resolution Processes 2. I remain your humble lecturer. I am Dr. Samuel Okpeyemi Iroyi. Like I told you earlier, we are going to be looking at Introduction to Conflict Resolution Processes 2. In this course, we have 6 modules. The course has been divided into 6 modules, one after the other. The course has been divided into 6 modules. And I want to assure you, as you listen, go back to watch your videos, participate in the discussion forum. You're going to have a lot of things to gain that is even beyond your own expectation. As I've said, we have 6 modules, and I will mention the 6 modules to you one after the other. Okay? I would start by looking at module 1. And in module 1, we have 4 units. In module 1, we have 4 units. This includes 4 units, which includes number 1, conflict resolution as a field of study. Unit 2, what is conflict? Unit 3, conflict handling styles. Unit 4, the conflict resolution process. In this lecture particularly, I will be taking you through Unit 1 and Unit 2, and I want you to take the best of its benefit. Take your pen, make a jotting, write something down that you can always go back to anytime, at any day. This will help you for your day-to-day learning and will also help you for your examination. So we are starting with Unit 1, which is conflict resolution as a field of study. The topics we are considering here includes number 1, the evolution of conflict resolution. 2, conceptual breakthrough in conflict resolution. 3, we are going to be looking at the principle of button versus dollars, frustration aggression theory. 4, we'll look at Rosenberg model. And 5, we'll look at violent conflicts as a problem. Introduction. Conflict resolution as a field of study is a relatively recent course, and that is why we need to examine it. We're not trying to say that conflict resolution is new, particularly, but we want to look at it as a field of study, which is a relatively recent course. But the process itself has been existing for a long time. In fact, it has been practiced in so many societies in different ways. The need for cooperative behavior in our homes, schools, workplace, and etc. warranted an in-depth study for the processes that will assist in bringing about a harmonious environment for everyday living. And this is why it is very necessary at this point to understand how the discipline of conflict resolution evolved before we can attempt its definition. Get it clear. Before we go into the definition of conflict resolution, you need to understand that conflict resolution has come to stay as a field of study. Not because it was not existing before, but it was existing in practice. But with the recent development, it has gone beyond practices or gone beyond its practices in different ways in different society. We now have it as a formalized course of study for the purpose of developing our society. The evolution of conflict resolution is in phases. So I'm going to take us through one or two of these, and I will direct you to go and do further reading to be able to get more understanding on this. Notably, among scholars who have written or done a work in conflict resolution is Michael E. Salla in his work in 2000. The work is titled Conflict Resolution, Genetics and Alchemy. The evolution of conflict transmutation gives an in-depth account of the evolution of conflict resolution as a field of study. Michael Salla has been able to establish certain theories that deals with the evolution of conflict transmutation. That's what he called his work, the evolution of conflict transmutation. According to him, conflict resolution is simultaneously an ancient and a new field of academic study. You remember I said it, that conflict resolution was existing before now, but now we now have it as a field of study. Prior to now, we have it as a practice being used in different ways, in different modes, and in different society. So according to Michael Salla, conflict resolution is now something that is both relevant in the past and in the present. More particularly in the present because it has not been formed, reformed, and established in a way that everyone everywhere can take advantage of it in its reformed way or its reformed mode. Take note that it is ancient. I mean, the study of conflict resolution, it is ancient insofar as humans have always attempted to regulate and settle conflicts by recourse to a variety of strategies, such as rule of law, political agreement, religious authority, and of course, brutal military force. That is, the study or the practice of conflict resolution has been existing for a long time by virtue of various mechanisms used by people or group of people to settle their issue. And we mentioned some of them. Some of the ways of modality being used then to inject the principle of conflict resolution into society are mentioned as example of rule of law, political agreement, religious authority, use of military force. All these helped to emphasize the rule of abstract principle of justice, morality, and define guidance in ending conflicts. But as a new field of study, conflict resolution attempts to move beyond this time-honored set of strategy. Conflict resolution now has gone beyond certain modalities, certain strategies being used. It has come to be developed into theories. And these theories now give us better insight into better ways by which the principles of conflict resolution can be made applicable. So we have some theoretical breakthrough. What I mean by theoretical breakthroughs, there are, theories that have evolved in the process of scholars trying to study the essence of conflict resolution, its impact and its application. So in this process, certain theories have come into play, and these have become established theories. Theoretical breakthrough that was to usher in conflict resolution as a social science in the modern era was the insight that cooperative conflict behavior will eventually elicit favorable response by other parties in a conflict. What are we saying here? One of the theoretical breakthroughs we have states that understanding conflict resolution as a field of study in social science in this modern era has given us to the insight that when there is a cooperative relationship between people in conflict, it helps them to quickly get at the desired results. It quickly makes them to get out of a conflict situation to a better situation, which we now tag as conflict transformation. That is, bringing the conflict into an end, get a viable solution to the conflict. So conflict resolution as a field of study in social science gives us a more variety way of handling conflict in our society, particularly now that some of these principles have been established as theory. And one of those breakthroughs says there is need to cooperate. One of the first to develop the insight into the beneficial consequence of cooperation as a subject of academic inquiry was Morton Deutsch. Morton Deutsch wrote an article in 1949 titled A Theory of Cooperation and Competition. According to Morton Deutsch, it says conflict resolution can be viewed from two ways: the theory of cooperation and the theory of competition. As far as it's concerned, these are the two ways to approach conflict resolution principles in life. To him, you either decide to cooperate or you either decide to compete. And in the long run, he has been able to narrow it down that it is better for people to set an agenda of cooperation rather than an agenda of competition. So the major point in this theoretical breakthrough is that there is more benefit in cooperative conflict behavior as against competitive conflict behavior. So where people decide to cooperate to get out of their problem, they get at solution faster, and not only that, they have a lasting solution. They get a solution faster and they have a lasting solution. But when it's competitive, it becomes more difficult because it is more advantageous to one party than another. That is all about Mont's theory on its own that we have examined, Morton Deutsch theory. Now we look at Fisher and Urey. In Fisher and Urey, they gave us an entirely different theory, but very close to what Deutsch had said. According to Fisher and Urey, to them, conflict resolution has to do with value system. Says when you have the right value system, it becomes easy for you to deal with conflict. And according to Fisher and Urey, cooperation is a very valuable, valuable concept that people must imbibe into their practical day-to-day system or day-to-day life for them to find a lasting solution to conflict. Fisher and Urey's model led to a kind of amoral theoretical approach that has made some feel very uncomfortable with the idea that cooperation itself becomes the ultimate value system in resolving conflict. According to Fisher and Urey, the ultimate principle, the ultimate way of dealing with conflict is cooperation. So he's speaking one of the value of Deutsch. One of those values is cooperation. So now we have more emphasis on the principle of cooperation as against the principle of competition. Okay. Another relevant breakthrough theory that we have in conflict resolution is what has been given in Button versus Dollars frustration aggression theory. Button and Dollar's frustration aggression theory. Here, Button applied John Dollar's theoretical insight that frustration aggression form an important causal chain in the emergence of violent conflict. What he's trying to say is that no conflict can emerge without frustration. According to Button Dollar's frustration theory, the implication is that it is frustration that makes people to be aggressive. When there is no frustration, people will not be aggressive. And when there is no aggression, then there will not be conflict. Dollard, like Dollard stated, Button believed in that theory of Dollard that frustrated needs led to aggressive behavior. Where the people are not frustrated, there is no need for aggression. Despite clear differences in terms of the underlying value system that underscore Button's needs-based and Fisher's and Urey interest-based. Take note, I need to state this. Button's theory was based on need. That is, the reason why people will go into conflicts is because their needs are not met. While Fisher and Urey were talking about interest not being met. So according to Button, when people's needs are not met, it results into aggression. While according to Fisher and Urey, when people's needs are not met, when people's interests are not met, it results into aggression. You must be able to know the basis of these two people's theory. Button says aggression and conflict comes as a result of needs not being met. Whereas Fisher and Urey says aggressions and conflict comes as a result of people's interests not being met. So take note of this. Fisher and Urey broke new ground insofar as they suggested that their value system can only be well built. A value system is like can be well built, can get a perfect structure when there is cooperation. And when there is cooperation, there will not be any conflict. People will not need to go through aggression. Now we need to examine the Rosenberg model. Rosenberg model is relatively new, but it promises to play a revolutionary role in changing the way in which children are educated to resolve conflicts and can play a major role in more conventional arenas of conflict resolution. Let me just put it simple. A simple way. According to Rosenberg, that is his own theory, Rosenberg, his own model is what you inculcate into the people from their early days of life determines the kind of lifestyle they will live. According to Rosenberg model, when you teach children from when they were young to inculcate positive values of living harmoniously, of living in a relative way, there is every likelihood that they would develop a system of friendship, a system of cooperation, and this will help them to jettison conflict and embrace unity. So we have been able to look at all these models, take time to go into them and study. Now I proceed to Unit 2. Take note that I am just giving you an hint or a hint of what you need to study. So it is essential that you go back into your course material, take it serious, study it, align it with the video recording, compare it with the discussion class, and get vital information that you need for this course. The meaning of conflict, Unit 2. Take note that conflict as a phenomenon does not have one generally acceptable definition. Conflict does not have a universal definition. There are general definitions, there are subjective definitions, there are societal definitions for the word conflict. Invariably, there are different types of definition for conflict. But let's just take a look at what some people have defined conflict to be. Different scholars have identified conflict in many ways. It has been defined as the existence of non-compatibility or disagreement between two actors. That is, when two parties cannot agree together, there are bound to be conflicts in their interaction over interests, over values, over beliefs, over emotions, over goals, space, position, scarce resources. So when actors have different ways they view some of the needs of life, there are bound to be conflict. So non-compatibility, or disagreement on issues that I've mentioned so far, like interests, values, belief, emotions, goals, space, position, scarce resources, are things that can cause conflict. And that's what we can define as conflict. According to Fink, conflict is any situation or process in which two or more social entities are linked by at least one form of antagonistic psychological relation, or at least one form of antagonistic interaction. According to Flake, conflict is seen as a situation in which people are connected by virtue of one antagonism or the other. That is, their interaction is based on the fact of disagreement. It's based on the platform of disagreement. So when the connection of people are based on that disagreement, we are fitting into the definition of Fink. Lewis and Kosa defines conflict as a struggle over values, and claims to secure status. According to Lewis and Lewis Kosa, conflicts will arise when people are struggling over certain things, which include their values, their status, their power. The struggles continue. Mark and Cinder, in their own definition, gave a variety of what can constitute conflict. And he gave us the characteristics of conflict. Number one, that there must be at least two parties. Two, that there must be a mutual incompatibility among them. Number three, they are acting in a way to destroy or to injure each other. That is, their behaviors are designed to destroy or injure each other. Number four, they are mutually opposed to each other's action. Number five, they attempt to acquire power at the expense of the other party. So according to Lewis and Kosa, when you see these five characteristics, then you say there is conflict. Let's proceed. What are the causes of conflict? Almost all the definition we are given itemize the causes of conflict. So let's look at some of those factors that can provoke conflict in a given relationship. Number one, communication failure, when two parties cannot communicate effectively. Number two, value differences. Number three, methodological differences. Number four, lack of cooperation. Number five, differences regarding responsibility. That is when there is no clear-cut distinction between what to do and what not to do. Number six, non-compliance with set rules. Number seven, personality conflict. And it is obvious that we are all different from each other. But we must learn to blend our personality. So when we can blend, there will become personality conflicts. Number eight, goal differences. What we want to achieve in life is different. Number nine, substandard performance. When one party is not performing as expected. Number 10, differences regarding authority. Number 11, competition over resources. For purposes of analysis of the causes of conflict, it may be useful to identify three general categories. What I'm saying in the essence is that, or what we are trying to say, is that all these causes have been categorized into three. And they are: one, communication; two, organization; three, personal. So all these factors that causes conflict can be categorized into three. One, communication; two, organization; three, personal. I will enjoin you also, before we go further, that you also make an attempt to give your own definition of conflict. Communication can cause conflict when people misunderstand themselves. And when there is misunderstanding, people likely to perceive whatever the other party is saying as mere noise. And that is how communication can cause conflict. When I cannot pick what you are saying to be beneficial to me, but rather I see you are just making noise. Organization structure can cause conflict, particularly in different ways, like group interdependence. The greater the degree of interdependence, the greater the likelihood of communication difficulties. The more people interdepend on themselves, the more there's likelihood to be conflict, because as long as we are relating with each other, there will always be one thing or the other that are causing problem. Maybe probably because of resources or scarce resources, because of needs that are not being met, and so on and so forth. Then the third category is personal variables. What do I mean by personal variable? That is, in our personality, we are different from each other. And we have been able to look at this in two ways. Personality types. We have different personality types. Some are sanguine, some are choleric, some are high temperament, some are low temperament, some are moody. Then the second part of it is valuable system or value system. Our values are different from each other. Personality deals with who you are, your person as an individual, what you stand for as an individual, while value system stand for your beliefs, your social value, your religious values are part of your value system. Having understood this, let's quickly look at types of conflict. We have several types of conflict, and I'm going to look at them. When you go home, take time to study them. We have relationship conflict, that is conflict that comes in relationship. Data conflict as regards information. When the information are not accurate, we say there's data conflict. Number three, we say interest. We have interest conflict. That is, what you like is different from what I like. We have interest conflict. Number four, structural conflict. That can relate to organization. How a society or an organization structure can cause conflict. Number five, value conflict. Number six, pseudo conflict. Number seven, ego conflict. And number eight, simple conflict. All these conflicts have one thing or the other to do, or in day-to-day life. They are things that we see. Relationship conflicts occur because of the presence of strong negative perception or stereotype lifestyle, poor communication or miscommunication. This one can bring relationship conflict. Data, as I've said, this with information. When there is lack of information or inadequate information, people are likely to be engaged or are likely to find themselves in conflict. Interest conflicts are caused by when interest is different from one person to another. Structural conflicts are caused by forces external to the people in dispute, that is, either by physical resources or authority. When the structure on ground is not enough to meet the need of the people, we say there is structural conflict. Value system deals with belief of individual. It can deal with your sense of morality, your sense of religion, and whatsoever. Pseudo conflict refers to misunderstandings in which we perceive that there is conflict when there is none. That is, it is your instinct telling you there is conflict, even when there is no conflict. Ego conflict has to do with personality, high-mindedness. When you see yourself as bigger than another person, there's going to be conflict, and that's what we call ego conflict. Or when another perceives himself better than you, there'll be ego conflict. Simple conflict on its own deals with little issues that if we don't take time to address them on time, may become a bigger problem. They are just minor day-to-day issues that come up between individuals or parties, which if not addressed on time, become a very serious issues. I want to believe that today we have learned a lot of things. I want to believe that if you are given an opportunity, you will be able to pick yourself up and be able to let us know what you understand by conflict resolution, the theories, the modern theories of conflict resolution, conflict theories have been mentioned. We have about 4 or 5 of them. You should also be able to tell us the types of conflicts we have and what are those things that causes conflict in our society. This is where I'm going to stop this lecture today. I'm going to expect you to join in the next class. Take advantage of your past videos and the forthcoming videos. Make sure you are part of the discussion forum, and make sure you also attend all your quiz that has been posted on the learning environment for you. And I believe as you do this and take part in all this exercise, you will not regret it at all, because success is bound to be your portion. I remain your humble lecturer, Dr. Samuel Okoyemi Iroyi. Meet you in the next class.